What's up, guys? It's Curtis here, and today I think it's time to sound the alarm. Because it was recently reported that the average American only saves about 5% of their income. And actually, if you're under the age of 35, the average balance in your savings account is only $3,240. Also, nearly 25%, or 1 in 4 of Americans, have absolutely no savings at all. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's terrifying, and I think that needs to stop right now. Now, I know that's hard because it's hard to be disciplined. It's hard to hunker down and really make a list of what your wants are versus your needs and what you can actually cut costs in order to save money starting today. And today, I'm going to explain different types of strategies that you can start right now for free that will help you save $10,000 this year fast. And like I said, it's free to start. But before we get started, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below what are your financial goals or what do you want to make your bank account look like a year from now. So when starting any type of goal, and this could be anything, not just financial goal, you need to be able to write them down and actually create a process or a strategy and different tasks that you can actually accomplish to reach those goals. For example, say you want to make $10,000 and save that all in 1 year. Well, you're going to have to save about $833 per month or $27.40 per day, which actually breaks down to about $1.40 per hour, or even if you want to go super deep into detail, 2 pennies per minute. And another thing about setting goals is that you need to start those goals right now, today. If you don't start those goals right now, today, then who knows if tomorrow will actually come, and if it does come, how do you know you're going to have the same motivation to start those goals tomorrow? So the first thing to do after this video is get a pen and some paper and start writing your budget. You need to track exactly how much is going out and how much is coming in for your income. By doing this, you're going to be able to start pinpointing all the money that you randomly spend on small transactions, unused subscriptions, or really just bring light to your spending habits that you didn't know that you were actually doing. And did you know that the average American spends nearly $18,000 per year on different types of purchases that are non-essential? Step number 2, in order to be able to save $10,000 over a year or whatever your financial goal is going to be to stop spending money. You got to cut spending, because as an average human being, we don't necessarily have a savings problem, we have a spending problem. And actually, the top 10 money wasters that people spend money on and need to cut back to actually instantly save money are going to be things like eating out, spending money on alcohol and drinks, credit card interest, you're spending money on clothes, you're buying cigarettes, electricity that you can try to cut back on, you're gambling, etc. Now, these are ways to instantly save your money by not really putting in a ton of effort or getting a second job. So how do you cut spending? Well, you're going to make your budget, which was step 1, and now you're on step 2, which is cutting your spending. So you got to look at what you're spending your money on and then figure out ways that you can cut back. Like, when was the last time that you actually shopped around for your insurance? How much do you spend on car insurance? How much do you spend on house insurance? Renter's insurance. Again, look at your electricity. Look at your phone bill. How much are you spending on your phone bill? There's different options out there that you can save a ton of money on. Look at your TV subscriptions. Do you have Peacock, Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime? Like, do you have everything? Do you really need everything? Because odds are you're not using every single one of those subscriptions, and that's just wasting and spending money that you don't need. So odds are that it was a while ago that you actually sat down, looked at your budget, looked at your ways that you're spending money, and this is just the start of actually cutting back that spending. And another way to look at spending money is that you're spending money that's already taxed. So when you work, you get money, but it's already taxed, and some of it's already going to, the government. So for example, if you go out to eat and you spend $50, well, actually you're spending $67 of pre-taxed dollars. Would you spend $67 on that same meal? Or is 50 your threshold where you're saying, hey, this is an expensive meal? Is 67's okay? Hey, that's good for you. Obviously, I don't think you want to save money. But if that $50 is like, wow, this is already a lot of money, you have to think of it as pre-tax dollars, because that's your hourly wage or your salary that you're actually putting in that time for that money. So would you spend 34% more to eat that food? Because that's what you're doing if you are spending 67 pre-tax dollars or $50 normally. Well, if you don't like spending that money, try not to eat out. Or if you do eat out, do something cheap. Cook at home. Spend $10 at home for a meal compared to $50 eating out, and you're saving $40. Now, based on the calculations that we were doing earlier for the days that you need to save $27.40 a day. Well, that's already 1.45 days equivalent to making and saving $10,000 after just 1 year. Step 3, you got to pay yourself first. And when I say this, it's the average person is not tracking what they already make, and they're not budgeting, they're not tracking what they're spending. And this can make a huge difference because we don't have a savings problem. Like I said, we have a spending problem. So if you get your paycheck and say you're making $60,000 per year. Well, if you're making $60,000 per year, odds are you're going to spend that money. Now, all of a sudden, say you get a raise and you go up to $70,000. You were already living off of $60,000. Why do you need to spend the extra $10,000? That's your $10,000 right there that you're going to save instantly. Most people are spending first, saving second. So they get their monthly budget, they spend all of their money on their bills, their eating out, their clothes, their entertainment, their TV subscriptions, everything like that, and then they have a little percent after, say 5%, that they're actually saving. And that's if you're actually saving. Most people don't save. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, and there's a reason, and it's because they don't have money saved up because they're not paying themselves first. If I get a paycheck, I want to be instantly putting money to the side and then being able to live within my means of what I have left. This is a tactic that actually forces you to create a budget. You push that money to the side, so it is basically gone. You have no, ways to actually take that money and spend it because it's in a savings or it's invested, which is another video coming along. But you have to save that money first and then live off your means. So that's the 3 steps. 1, you're starting a budget. You're writing down all your income and all your expenses. 2, you're going to look at your spending and you're going to cut that spending. And 3, you're going to pay yourself first or save/invest your money first before actually going through your entire month and spending all your money. Now I'm going to go over some scenarios that actually help me build and save over $10,000 easily in 1 year. And the first thing that I did was I had housing with a bunch of friends. So I lived in a house. We rented this house while I was in undergrad. I worked a ton of different jobs, worked full time, and then I had about 6 or 7 little side gigs that I was doing. I was reffing, I was mowing people's lawns, building fences, baling hay, and then I also had a full time internship that was like a corporate position that paid pretty well. But in this situation, we rented a house in undergrad that was around $800. I think it was $800. It was either $800 or $850. And then our utilities was around $150 to $200 a month because we didn't use AC really and we didn't want the heater on. We kind of just roughed it because we didn't want to spend extra money. But there was 4 or 5 of us, depending on the time of the year, that were actually in that house. It had 4 bedrooms, and then every once in a while there was a couple times where there was 5 guys living in that house. And so we were spending, $900 basically, $950 per month for 5 of us or for 4 of us. And so each time we were only paying like $190, $200 max every single month. Well, I was doing my full-time gig, making, decent money, and then also was doing side gigs. So I was able to work a ton of hours, do a couple of side gigs. My rent, my expenses were already covered after 1 month. Now, that's not including like gas or insurance or, groceries or anything like that. But housing is a huge chunk of your spending every single month. And so if you can lower that right now, today, you will be able to save so much money. So if you can get roommates, if you can, either if you have a house, maybe like lease out a room if you're not using it and you guys are okay with doing that. Just figure out a way to cut that spending, cut that cost down, because that is a huge way to set yourself up good for the future. Another way that actually helped me was to cut back on my transportation costs. So I originally had a 1998 Chevy Silverado. I got like 8 to 10 miles per gallon. It was not good gas mileage. See, I love cars. I love trucks. I love the muscle cars. I love the supercars. I love, Chevy Silverado, big old trucks, Blazers. Back in the day, lifted trucks. I like that stuff. But the thing that sucks about that is they don't get that good of gas mileage, especially if you're driving them like I drive them. And so, at the time, I knew I was spending way too much money on gas, getting 10 miles to the gallon. And sometimes I was driving, hundreds of miles a day. So it was really adding up and actually taking a huge chunk of my, income. And that expense was high. So I figured, hey, I'll sell my truck, which I did end up selling my truck. Got, decent money for it. This was before COVID times. So I didn't get as much as what they're going for now. And then I actually bought a little Mazda. And the reason I bought the Mazda is because I can get on the highway and get roughly 40 miles to the gallon. So 4 times, I'm saving 4 times the amount on gas pretty much. Instead of having to pay for 4 tanks of gas, I'm paying for 1, which is incredible. I fill up, once every couple weeks. And before, I actually lived super close to my work. So I filled up like once every month and a half, because I was getting such good gas mileage and I lived, just a few miles away. So if you can cut that miles or the expense down on gas and that transportation, then you can really save money at the same time too. The third situation that has been huge for me and my family is the way that we eat. So we don't go out to eat. I know people that go out to eat every single day. There's a statistic out there where the average consumer spends around $350 per month eating out on food, which is insane to me. That just baffles me because I would never be able to spend that much money. We make food at home. We go to the grocery store. We buy in bulk. If you can buy in bulk, if you have the storage and the money up front, it is awesome to be able to do that. Because if you buy things like 10 pounds of chicken, usually you can get that for like $10. 15 at max, but 10 pounds of chicken is a ton, especially if there's only a couple of you. If there's a family of 4, still way easy to save money. Get rice, beans, chicken. There's your protein. You have rice and beans, which is going to last a long time, and you can get a lot of it in bulk really cheap. You got to buy things that you can get a lot of very cheap, and then kind of just get unique with how you're actually cooking the food. One, not only is it saving you money, but you're also learning, how to cook. Yeah, not everything's going to be great. Sometimes you're going to have those learning curves where you're actually saying, hey, how do I cook chicken? But in the long run, 1, you're going to learn how to cook. And then 2, it's just saving you a ton of money. Because I know sometimes we go to the grocery store, we spend around, $250 for the entire month. Because we are pretty frugal. We look at things like, hey, what do we want to eat for breakfast? Well, oats. You can get a massive jar or a huge bag of oats for $5 at Sam's Club or Costco, and that's gonna last you literally 3-4 months. You just throw some fruit in it, throw a little like cinnamon, maybe like a little bit of yogurt or something like that, and you have breakfast every single day for like 25 cents per bowl. You're spending 25 cents instead of going to Starbucks or instead of going to McDonald's or somewhere like that where you're getting a coffee, you're getting, your food, maybe a cake pop at Starbucks, and you're end up spending $12. Well, I spent 25 cents, you spent $12. That's the difference. That's how you cut back on that food and really just buy in bulk and try to save that money. Yeah, you're not going to have the best food, but guess what? You're saving that money, and that same person that's spending all that money on their food, hey, guess what? You have $10,000 next year, they don't. A couple other things to think about if you want $10,000 by next year is, hey, pay off all your debts. If you don't pay off your debts, that interest that you're paying is actually money that you could be compounding in interest, in savings, and you're investing. You could get that compounding interest, but instead you're actually paying that to someone else who's, using you to get that interest. And then also don't spend the money on clothes. I know people that have closets and closets full of clothes, and I personally have a decent amount of clothes. But don't spend money on clothes. Like, there's some people that I know where they buy a jacket and they only use that jacket twice. Well, they just spent $100 on that jacket. Before you buy that jacket, would you basically spend $50 per time you wear that jacket? Probably not, because you buy clothes, you say, hey, I need a new jacket. Well, you probably have 5 of them hanging in your closet, or hey, I need some new t-shirts. You probably have 7 or 8 of them in the back of your closet that you never even touch. And if that's the case, either 1, you spent money in the first place on those clothes, or 2, you're spending it now because those were originally like gifts or something. Well, either use those clothes or don't use it. And that's a huge transaction that people think they need every single month, which I don't think. And if you do need to buy clothes, go to places that like Goodwill, like, go to those type of shops where you can actually find good clothes. I actually had a video where I found like New Balance shoes, where I got them for just a couple of dollars, and those are like $80 shoes. Like if I would have went and bought those brand new, I would have spent $80. Instead, I spent like $3 on some sneakers. And the last way to save $10,000 is either 1, get a side hustle, or 2, get a job. Because if you want extra income and you don't want to cut back on your spending, you don't want to stop eating out, you don't want to do all these things that I was talking about, then you just have to have extra income. And that's either generating money from a side hustle, or getting a side part-time job, or just another full-time job that you work on top of the other job that you already currently have. Because if you don't want to cut back the spending, you're not going to make money, you're not going to save money, and that's just basically it. That's all I have for you guys. Comment down below what you guys think. How are you guys going to save money, and what are your financial goals? If you're trying to make, just save $1,000 next year, comment that. Say, hey, I'm trying to save $1,000. I'm going to cut back on my eating, or I'm going to cut back on my clothes, or I'm going to try to save money by not going out and spending it on gambling, or whatever. Whatever you're going to do, comment below, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.